49ers play a real football game tonight. I cannot wait. And so come count the hours down with me as we get ready for Niners Packers on Monday Night Football. What is good, everybody? Welcome to another Gold Standard podcast on the Gold Standard and the Fans First Sports Networks. I'm Rob Stats Guerrera here with you. It is Niners. It is Jets tonight. I cannot wait. I'm sitting here. It's Monday. I watched everybody play yesterday, and I am desperate and dying for this game to kick off. I need to have it. I need to see it. And thankfully, it's coming. Matter of hours. So I wanted to dive into it a little bit. I have three things that I want to see tonight. Three paths to victory for the 49ers over Aaron Rodgers and the Jets. And let's just stop wasting time. Let's dive right into it here. First up, have to, and I'm starting with the defense here, get interior pressure on Aaron Rodgers. You know, I was fascinated to see yesterday Kirk Cousins coming back from the Achilles injury. And I get it that Kirk did his Achilles later in the season than Aaron Rodgers, but Kirk's also 4 years younger than Aaron Rodgers. And yesterday, the Falcons were in either pistol formation or shotgun formation 96% of the time. When they were in shotgun, they had 0 designed runs. And they had 81% of their plays out of the pistol were runs. And so what that does is it means Kirk Cousins, didn't have to move, right? In the shotgun, he drops back. He's basically ready to go. He can look around and throw the ball. With the pistol, he's not coming under center and having to take a bunch of steps back. He's sort of halfway there. He can hand it to the running back. I think they did that with Kirk Cousins because he couldn't move that well. Achilles is a tough injury. It's a tough injury to come back from. How is Aaron Rodgers going to be able to move tonight? I think you have to put that to the test if you're the 49ers. Do the Jets come out? Are they doing the same thing? Are they trying to limit his mobility? He can't really move around that well anymore because of his age. So if you're the Niners, this has got to be like a Javon Hargrave night, right? Like this is why you pay him the big bucks. This is why you wanted to sign him as a free agent. You wanted to get interior pass rush because the thinking always was, push from the middle, force the quarterback out to the edges where you have Nick Bosa, and now you have Leonard Floyd, and now you're shutting down the offense. That is always the plan with this 49ers offense. Can they do it tonight? I want to see it. And I want to see Aaron Rodgers prove that he can move around a little bit, prove that he can get off of his spot and still look downfield and find wide receivers. Can he move laterally to escape pass rushers? I would not be shocked if the 49ers came with some heavy pressure early to try and see where he is sort of health-wise. You know, I just heard a really interesting interview with Bill Belichick. It was on the Pat McAfee show. I didn't watch the show. I saw it on Twitter, actually, but it was really interesting. Belichick said basically it takes like 2 to 3 possessions to really know what the other team is going to do, how they're attacking you, and what their plan is against you. And he said basically halftime is too late to make adjustments. You got to adjust sooner than that. And you should be able to tell what they're trying to do before that. I would not be shocked if the 49ers, the first couple of possessions, came at Aaron Rodgers in a big way, just to feel him out. Even if maybe he burns him a couple times, I think they want to see him move around a little bit. Is he a little gun shy? Is he a little, quick to get rid of the ball because he doesn't want to take a hit? He hasn't played a full game in a long time. Didn't play at all in the preseason. So I think you got to test that early if you're the 49ers. And if you're Nick Bosa and Leonard Floyd, get after it, man. Just go eat. Don't even play the run for the first couple. Say, screw it, man. Like, again, let's see it. Let's set the tone early. Force Aaron Rodgers to have to move and get off of his spot. That's what I want to see from the defense early on. That is my biggest key. As Tom on Twitch says, Tom Legendary, thank you very much, Tom. Shout out to the Twitch fam. Rodgers hasn't played a game in NFL. Let me read that again. Rodgers hasn't played an entire NFL game in 20 months. Exactly. And I don't care who you are, man. There's going to be some rust there. There's going to be some rust, and you can practice all you want, but it's different when you're in the game. You know, I'll never forget this. This was just like a weird thing. I posted a clip of Chris Forrester, the Niners offensive line coach, talking last year. It was in the preseason. I think it was probably this week, the week leading up to the first game. And what he said last year was, you'll never see football players more tired than after the first drive of the first game of the regular season. Because even in the preseason, you've been practicing in the preseason, you've been playing in the preseason games, but when you're in it for real and everybody's going all out as hard as they can every single play, you haven't had that since last year. And so when you see the players come off the field after the first series, they are absolutely gassed. And I posted that because I thought it was interesting. I ended up getting like 100,000 views or something. It was kind of crazy. But so let's see. And that's when you've been playing, right? That doesn't even count the layoff that Aaron Rodgers has had. So I want to see the Niners get after it, force him to move off of his spot, force him to have to stand in there and deliver the football again and again and again. And maybe he's up to the challenge, maybe. But let's see. Let's see if the 40-year-old guy is willing to stand in there and do it. And I think he will be maybe some of the time, especially early, because I think he's got a chip on his shoulder. I think he wants to go out and, he doesn't want everybody's last memory of him to be on the field after Leonard Floyd tackled him and his Achilles is popped and it's this huge disappointment. He doesn't want that. He wants people to remember the good Aaron Rodgers. So he's going to want to show a little something. Plus, it's against the 49ers, who he still holds a grudge against because they didn't draft him in 2005, and they've kicked his ass in the playoffs, let's be honest. So he may be willing to stand in there early and do it. Is he willing to do it for 4 quarters? I think that's the test that the 49ers defense has to make him answer, quite frankly. And I'll be interested to see what kind of crazy defenses they draw up. I wouldn't get too crazy if I were the 49ers because you're not going to fool Aaron Rodgers. He's still great from the neck up. I think it's got to be more of a straight up like, hey, here we come. Let's see this new Jets offensive line with all these new starters. Let's see if you can hold up. Let's see if you can communicate. Does Aaron Rodgers lose confidence in them early if the Niners can get home early on? Does he start to lose confidence and start to get the ball out of his hands quick and short? Because that favors the 49ers. They'll chase and tackle with anybody. So I want to see the defense do that against Aaron Rodgers. That's my first key to victory. Number 2, Breece Hall. You have to slow down Breece Hall. They are going to want to come out and run the ball because they want to take the pressure off Aaron Rodgers. They don't want Aaron Rodgers to have to stand in there and deliver the football to move their offense down the field. A perfect game for the Jets is to come out with Breece Hall, have him run the ball effectively, let Rodgers check it down to him quickly on a couple of passes, and he can get in a flow and a rhythm and sort of start to get his timing back and all that. That's what the Jets are going to want to do. That's what I would say to do if I were Robert Saleh and if I were a Jets content creator, frankly. That's what they want to do. You can't let that happen. You can't let the Jets dictate the terms of the game to you. You absolutely have to earn the right to rush the passer. You have to stop Breece Hall. Have to. You can't let him give Aaron second and short and third and short all day long. Because again, you don't want Aaron Rodgers to have that many options, right? So, and I think based on how last year ended, other teams are going to force the 49ers to show they can stop the run, quite frankly, because the Niners really struggled to do that at the end of all really through the year, but especially at the end of the year last year. A lot of people saw that. And so they're going to say, all right, you got some new defensive linemen. Let's see if you can stop the run. They're going to say, we got a bunch of new people on the offensive line. We think we can do this thing. So they're going to want to go out and prove it. So you're going to absolutely have to do that if you're the defense. No Yetur Gross-Matos. We know he's not going to play. D. Winters is not going to play. So it's going to be Hargrave and Bosa and Leonard Floyd and Fred Warner and I guess Devondre Campbell. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see who starts alongside Fred. I don't think Talanoa Hufanga is going to play. I think it'll be Tig, and I think it'll probably be why can I never remember his name? Oren Burks. Man, I don't know what the deal is. I don't know why I have that block there. It's really annoying, to be honest with you. Like it's been years, and I still, for some reason, cannot get it. Could be Curtis Robinson, I guess. That's always possible. But anyway, we will see. I'm trying to check the comments really quick. LFG says, Larkin, bye-bye offseason, our turn, baby. Yesterday was cool. It was fun to see. I appreciated the football not being back. I appreciated the hard knocks, but I've had that now, and that's cool. But now we're on to the main course. The appetizer was yesterday. The main course is tonight. And by the way, I see Harris says, "What's the football ritual, Rob?" Hot wings. Yes, the 3 H's: Heineken, hot wings, and Haagen-Dazs. I had hot wings yesterday. I've already had hot wings today. I'm going to have multiple Heinekens and some Haagen-Dazs, hopefully celebrating a victory with the Haagen-Dazs tonight. That's always good. But that is my football ritual for week 1. It's what I always do. I highly recommend it. Tom Legendary says, Aaron Rodgers only threw for more than 250 yards 3 times in 2022. He only threw for 214 yards a game his last year with the Packers. So it's not like he was setting the world on fire before the Achilles injury. So again, we got to see which Aaron Rodgers we get. And like I said, he may be willing to play a little differently because it's the Niners and he wants to stick it to them. We'll find out. I think Robert Saleh wants to stick it to Kyle Shanahan a little bit too. He wants to say, I'm not the student anymore. You're not the master anymore. We know there were things they butted heads about. Philosophically, they used to get into shouting matches when they were in San Francisco. So clearly they disagree about a few things. And I think naturally, I'm not saying like Robert Saleh is a jerk or anything like that, but I think it's only natural that you want to show your mentor that like, hey, I'm ready to be out on my own. I've learned from you. Thank you. That's great. But I got it now. I think that's natural of anybody. I know that in my own job, I was the same way. I had a great mentor at ESPN Radio. Liam Chapman was his name. Taught me a lot. But, there were things that we disagreed on. And then when I got to be the man and sit in the chair and produce shows, I did things the way I wanted to do them, right? That's only natural. And I think Robert Saleh probably has a little bit of that from Kyle Shanahan as well. I think he does. So it'd be interesting. Sean McVay, I noticed this yesterday. I don't know if you noticed it. Sean McVay went for it on 4th down at least 2 times in the game against the Lions. And I was like, oh, damn, Sean McVay, does he realize you can go for it on 4th down now? Is that going to be a thing? Be interesting to see how Kyle Shanahan plays it, if he's just going to do the same old thing and be the same old Kyle, or if he has learned anything. But we can cross that bridge when we get to it. I do also remember Kyle going for it on 4th down against the Packers when Trey Lance was there right before halftime, and Trey Lance ran it into the end zone on the touchdown. So hopefully we get more aggressive Kyle in the game. Okay, so those are the 2 things. 1, interior pressure on Rodgers. That's the first key to victory. 2, earn the right to rush the passer. That's the second key to victory. 3, do the easy thing. Just do the easy thing. And I'm talking about the offense now. Just get the ball to George Kittle. Get it to CMC and get it to Kittle. Don't try to force it to Ayuk when he's covered by Sauce, or don't try to force it to Debo when he's covered by, my God, I am blanking on the names. The other corner that the Jets have, Reed. Just don't. That's going to be way harder than it needs to be to move the ball. You have all these all pros. Just use them. Don't try to force it. If you want to get the ball to Debo, you can get him on a couple screens. That's fine. But otherwise, who do they have that's going to cover 85? Who? CJ Mosley? Maybe. But I'll take my chances with that one, to be honest with you. I absolutely will. So I hope that this is a George Kittle game tonight. Get it to Kittle. Get it to CMC. A lot of people apparently are taking issue with my beer choice in the chat. Todd says, Heineken, don't you live in Connecticut? Yeah, so? What do you think? We don't have Heineken in Connecticut? Spy Dirty says beer and ice cream. Gross. Well, I don't eat them at the same time. I have the beer and I'll have the ice cream later. I'm not dipping the beer in dipping the ice cream in the beer. Let's not get crazy. Oh, a lot of people think I'm not eating them at the same time. I'm having the hot wings and the beer, and then I'll have the ice cream hours later. Hours later, people. Let's not get it twisted. All right, so do the easy thing for the 49ers. Please and thank you. I have said it again and again and again. Blocking is the second best thing George Kittle does. Let him catch the ball. Let him catch the ball. Give him the targets that an all-pro, top-flight tight end deserves. Give him the Travis Kelce treatment. I promise he won't let you down, man. He won't let you down. I would absolutely rely on Christian McCaffrey, and I would rely on George Kittle primarily to get the ball down the field. You can mix in some Debo and some Ayuk. That's fine. But I just think it's going to be way harder to get 11-1 because remember, Debo changed his number. It's going to be way harder to get them the ball than it is, I think, to get Christian the ball and to get Kittle the ball. So I hope that Kyle does it, because if you're trying to beat Sauce Gardner all night long, right, you're playing into the Jets' hands. And I know Ayuk is good. And maybe the fact that Ayuk wasn't here and hasn't had a full preseason and a full training camp will push Kyle in the other direction. Like, hey, we can't rely on him maybe as much as he would if BA had been here all along. So maybe that helps my thinking here. But I hope he doesn't. And Kyle doesn't seem like that kind of guy. Like, he doesn't ever seem to force it to anybody, right? He always likes to poke the other defense where they're weakest. He would rather face your weakness than your strength, as would most people. So hopefully he won't do that. Stephen Duckett says, real question is, do I listen to Buck and Aikman or the Manning cast? So yeah, here was my philosophy with the Manning cast. I always said it was great for other games, but when your team was playing, I didn't want to listen to the Manning cast because they didn't talk about the game enough. Now, Peyton Manning has specifically said that the research that they did in the offseason shows that people agreed with that fans want them to talk about the game more. So he has said that they are going to consciously try and do that. So I don't know. I would hate to miss something they say, but I like to hear the regular broadcast, to be honest with you. I think there's a lot of information. They weave in the sideline reports. I get a ton of information from the sideline reporters, and I like to hear what they say about the production meetings and what the teams told them, because I think you get more information there than people give credit to. So I like to hear the real announcers. Now, I may just tape the Manning cast and go watch it on Tuesday, especially if the Niners win. If the game is close and it comes down situationally to certain things, I would like to hear what Peyton and Eli have to say about that. So I may go back and listen to the Manning cast, but I think I'm a primary announcers guy, at least for right now, at least until they prove that they can actually talk about the game more. Because when it's your team, I don't care about the freaking guests that they're bringing on. Who cares, right? Like, oh, they're talking to whoever. So what? I want to see if Christian McCaffrey gets his first down, So that's just how I feel about it. If you feel about it, let me know. Spy Nick Danger says, this 49ers team will be great this season, but will they be great week one? I don't know. That's another thing. Don't overreact to week one, right? Weird stuff happens in week one. The Chiefs beat the Lions in week one last year. Like, it doesn't, you have to really go through and decide like what sticks and what doesn't from week one. And that's maybe something we'll do after the game. Vish Kumar and myself in the Instant Reaction Show live here after the game, immediately after the game. So don't freak out one way or the other. Obviously, you want to get a win. If you don't, I think that the next thing you go to is health, right? Like the Packers didn't get a win, and then they lost Jordan Love for 3 to 5 weeks. That's the double whammy. At least if they're not going to win, hopefully you can get everybody through healthy. Arjun, YouTube channel member, says, does Kyle do the play calling? If he doesn't, I would be stunned. If he's not doing the play calling, that is a massive, massive, massive story. But I think he will be. I really do. Harris says they're going to glaze Rodgers so much. Aikman and Buck, yeah, they probably will. And Arjun agrees, says losing to an AFC team is not the end of the world. I agree. If they do lose, I will say that. This is one of the games that if you had to pick for the 49ers to lose, you would choose an AFC team, right? They play the AFC East this year. So you're going to get Jets, you're going to get Patriots, you're going to get Dolphins, and you're going to get Bills. Just looking at the lay of the land yesterday, the Rams lost. That's obviously good. The Packers lost. That's obviously good. Now, unfortunately, the Packers lost to the Eagles, to another NFC team. And yes, it's not too early for me. I have my eye on what all the other NFC teams are doing. I want to see them all lose, except for the 49ers. Because I think the seeds in the NFC are going to be close this year. I don't think the Niners are going to run away with the number one seed. I don't even know if the Niners will get the number one seed, to be honest with you. And I've said this year is not about style points. It's just about get to the playoffs and then do what you do, handle your business once you get there. So yeah, I'm watching all the other teams. I want to see them all lose, man. I want to see them all lose. Now, the Vikings won, the Lions won, the Bears won. Dallas obviously won. Dallas kicked the hell out of the Browns. Woo. Obviously, Dak got under contract too. Good day for Dallas fans yesterday, but they have a lot of those in September. Not so many in January and February. Just going to throw that out there. DJ says, do you risk McCaffrey with a tight hamstring or do you rest him? Does McCaffrey give you the choice to rest him? So yeah, that's an interesting question because he's got the Achilles/calf injury. it's week 1, right? Like he's already has this thing. It's aggravated. You know you need him all year. You know how important he is to your offense, but he wants to play. It's going to be interesting to see how much run they give him. And you'll be able to tell early. If Kyle is throwing Jordan Mason in there early in the game and pulling McCaffrey out of the game, then you know he's way more hurt than we initially thought, because you know Kyle he doesn't ever give Christian McCaffrey rest. Hell, he didn't give Elijah Mitchell rest when he was in there. Like, Kyle usually has a workhorse back. So if they are taking Christian McCaffrey in and out of the game all night, then you know that they are at least concerned, right? Don't listen to what they say. Listen to what they do. They can say anything. It costs them nothing to say anything, and they have incentive to lie. Pay attention to what they do on the field. So that'll be a big deal. A big deal if we see a lot of Jordan Mason tonight. I know a lot of Niner fans will be happy, but if that's the case, then maybe you rest Christian McCaffrey. The thing is, like, he had the whole offseason to rest, and then as soon as he started up again, he got hurt. So that's a scary thing. That is a scary, scary thing. James says I'd use Christian McCaffrey on third down only. Yeah, I don't know. Only they know how hurt he is. Only they know how he's feeling. Only he knows how he's feeling. Now, he's never going to want to come out of the game. So you have to weigh those things if you're a coach. If you throw Jordan Mason in there and he starts tearing it up, great. Then maybe that makes that decision a little easier, right? Because obviously the 49ers don't care if specifically Christian McCaffrey gets the yards. They want the offense to be able to function. If McCaffrey can sit out and rest and the Niners offense still functions, great. I think we'd all be for that. But Dave 184 Infantry, YouTube channel member, says, got my Mason TD at plus 600. Thanks, Michelle. Yep, she found that on our Friday show. That's our betting and gambling show. We call it the Gold Digger Show. Me and Michelle Majup, researcher for NFL Network. She pulled this bet out that Jordan Mason was plus 600 to score a touchdown, which for the uninitiated means you bet $100, you win $600 if Jordan Mason scores a touchdown. I took that bet myself. I'm just going to tell you, he's going to be the kick returner tonight. I think he was at least listed as the kick returner on the depth chart. Now, I did see that Isaac Guerrero was a full participant in practice, and he had been the kick returner in the preseason. So if he's healthy, maybe they throw him back there instead of Jordan Mason. But even if that's the case, I still think I could see a scenario where Christian McCaffrey has a few runs in a row on a drive. They take him out, and Mason gets a play at the goal line, or McCaffrey breaks a long one and gets tackled just before he goes in, and maybe they throw Jordan Mason in there. He can vulture a touchdown. At plus 600, I have to do it. I couldn't afford not to. Didn't put down a lot of money. I put down $10, to be honest with you. But I did do it. I like those kind of bets, and that was a good one by Michelle. Arjun says, I got first touchdown by Jordan Mason at plus 3,100. Wow, man, that would be fascinating. Are you hoping for like an opening kickoff touchdown, return TD? Maybe that'll be the case. I don't know. I wasn't quite as confident in that one. James asks, are we going to see Talanoa Hufanga tonight? So Hufanga is officially doubtful. That was his designation. I don't see a reason for the 49ers to rush him back. I hope they don't rush him back. So I don't think we see Talanoa Hufanga tonight, unfortunately. And that's fine. Again, week 1, AFC game. No reason to throw him out there if you're not 100%. Let him come along slowly. Let him get his feet out, or knee, I guess you would say, out underneath him before you do that. So no, I don't think we see Talanoa Hufanga. The Sentinels football channel says, hell no, we have a chance if we start Jordan Mason, but this Jets team is going to come out swinging fast. If they get a turnover the first couple plays, we're in for an ugly night. Not necessarily. I mean, shoot, the Seahawks threw an interception in the first possession. Geno Smith took a sack and threw a pick, and they still won the game. Now they're playing the Broncos. I get that, but look, the Niners are at home. You know the crowd's going to be pumped up. It's going to be an electric atmosphere at Levi's. It is, because as much as the 49ers have going on, they are going to be the hunted team by everybody, as they have been. You don't think the Jets want to go out there on Monday Night Football when the whole league is watching them, especially because it's Aaron Rodgers' return after the putrid year they have last year? You don't think they want to go out there and show the world, we took down the big bad 49ers? We took down the defending NFC champions? Of course they do. And the Niners, that's nothing new from the Niners. They know it. Like Steve Young said on KNBR. Oh, sorry, I hit the wrong button. Where's my Steve Young sound? Oh, man, it went away. I'm sorry. Steve Young's sound went away. I apologize. Well, he basically said, like, we're the hunted team. You know, everyone's got a playbook on Brock now because he started for a year. They've got a playbook on Debo. Everybody's going to come after you. That was Steve Young's point, and I think it's true. I think the Niners have to be ready for that. You have to be ready for that, for everybody to give you their best shot. Damn it, where the hell did that go?
The 49ers are the team, we talked about this last week, that everybody studies. Everybody's watching Kyle Shanahan's offense, trying to figure out, how do I defend it? Every team spent April and May and June doing that. And so when you're the focus of it all, when Brock Purdy now, everyone's got a book out on him after a couple of years. Everyone's got a book out on Debo. So it just, things get tougher. And if you don't get better, if you stay static, let's say the team that was last year stays neutral, I think things get harder by definition. So you have to get better. And I hope that we have.
So the question then is, where are the 49ers better, right, from last year? Where are the 49ers improved? If Dominic Purdy can play like he's played in the preseason, and if Trent Williams is Trent Williams, which those are big ifs going into week one, but if that's the case, then they are better along the offensive line. 100%. They are better. Also, I guess Aaron Banks is questionable with a finger injury, so he would have to be in there too. But if Purdy can play the way he played in the preseason, they're better on the offensive line, period. Because that right side of the offensive line was shaky as hell. And if you can stabilize one more of those positions, that's going to do wonders for them. So that's definitely an area where they could be better. I think they're better in the secondary than at any point in the Shanahan regime, to be honest with you. Mooney Ward, Diamador Lenore, Renardo Green, Isaac Yadam, Jair Brown. When he comes back, Talanoa Hufanga, I think this is the best secondary Kyle's had. I think they're going to be better in the secondary than last year, too. Now, you're not as good at the linebacker spot for sure, because Dre Greenlaw's not there, and that's a big loss. So you're definitely weaker there. That's a real thing. But those are a couple areas that I think the Niners are going to be better at. And considering this offense scored 60 touchdowns last year, you're telling me you give them a better offensive line. I feel pretty good about that. I feel really good about that, to be honest with you. People agree with me in the chat. Always like to see that. Did anybody see the clip of Brock Purdy watching Iowa State upset Iowa, kicking the last second field goal? He's watching it and he starts screaming like, yes, because he's happy because they kicked the last second field goal for the win. And all I could think of was like, damn, man, it's just like us. Like, he's standing in front of the TV like an inch away. He's not like sitting down with a beer in his hand. He's up in front of the TV, giant TV, and he's screaming as the field goal goes through. That, you know, like, I know I'm a little crazy when I watch the games, but it made me feel good to see Brock do the same thing. Because, look, these guys live on a different planet than we do, right? They're famous. They're athletic as all hell. They're rich. In a lot of ways, they're very, very separate from us. But in that one small way, it was cool to see, like, hey, they're just like me. It was cool to see that they consume this sport and this game exactly the same way I do. Because, you know, we want to feel closer to these players, even though they don't really know who we are. We want to feel like we have something in common with them. And so Brock watching the game, I'll try and throw it up here for people on the stream. Here's Brock. He's watching the game. There we go. As the kick.
Yeah, score! Let's go! Yeah! Yeah! Let's go!
Yes. Okay, good. And I hope he knows that that's how we're all going to be watching tonight. If it's a last-second field goal and Jake Moody's lining up for this thing with 4 seconds left on the clock and that thing goes through, that is exactly what my reaction will be. It will be screaming yes, then it'll be running down here to start the instant reaction show. That's awesome, man. That is cool. And it's his alma mater, so I know he's a little more fired up, but damn, that is awesome. Arjun says, how did Kittle watch that game? I don't know. Remember, Brock had to come out in the Iowa mascot head last year after that loss. So I don't know if we'll see that tonight. Maybe if the 49ers lose, they won't do that. But Brock did have to do that when Iowa beat Iowa State last year. So we'll see if George Kittle has to do anything to pay it off. What do you want to see tonight as a fan watching? What do you want to see the 49ers do? I'll tell you one thing I want to see, and I've said it a couple places. I want to see Ricky Pearsall lead the team out of the tunnel. Let's go, Ricky. Incredible story. The fact that he's even alive is a miracle. Somebody at the emergency room told Kyle Shanahan 2 out of 100 people that happens to survive. 2 out of 100. 2% of people survive that. And Ricky Pearsall didn't just survive it. He's going to play football again this year. So I would love to see. You want to see the crowd go absolutely crazy? Have Ricky Pearsall lead the team out of the tunnel. And if you need one more reason, not that you do, but if you need one more reason to let Ricky do it, it's his birthday today. It's his freaking birthday. How about that? Get Ricky Pearsall on his birthday. He doesn't have to be carrying the boombox. Let somebody else do that. But you're telling me he comes out of the tunnel in the 14 jersey and people are not going to lose their mind? And I think they're going to honor Joelle. I don't know if it's Harrell or Harrell. I apologize. I've heard her name pronounced both ways. But the officer that helped Ricky Pearsall that day, I think they said they're going to honor her in some way. I don't know the specifics of that. But if she and Pearsall are leading the people out of the tunnel, oh my God, it's going to be electric. What a way to start the year. And I'm sure we're going to hear a lot about Ricky in the pregame, and we should, because again, it's an incredible story. He literally asked her if he was going to die, and now he's going to come back eventually at some point this year and play football. John Lynch was asked about that repeatedly, and John repeatedly has been like, oh yeah, he's coming back. Like, it's not even, think about it, right? This is a very touchy situation. The last thing you want to do is set unrealistic expectations or rush Ricky Pearsall back. So if there was any sort of uncertainty about whether he could come back this year and play football, I think you would see Lynch and Shanahan be like, well, we're not worried about that right now. We just want Ricky to get better, heal up, and we'll cross that bridge when they get to it. No, they've been like, yeah, he's going to come back. Hell, Pearsall told Kyle he thought he could play the Jets from the hospital room. Like, it's just an incredible story. So I want to see Ricky lead them out of the tunnel in week 1 for sure. And again, he doesn't have to be carrying the boombox. That's fine if he's not. Let Trent carry it or Debo. But I think it would be a really cool thing to do and just add a little juice in the, a little pep in the step for the Niners. Trip Aces says the boombox is legendary, especially when spanking the Cowboys. Who doesn't spank the Cowboys? Lauren Klein says, can you win comeback player of the year as a rookie? Yes, actually, yeah, I think so. It's a good question. I mean, technically, Ricky was injured as a pro, right? So I would assume he's eligible for it. I never heard of a rookie winning it, but this is clearly extenuating circumstances. And they actually did put kind of a clarification in the rules for that award, because before it was not about overcoming injury. There was nothing specific about that. Now they've gone back since Damar Hamlin didn't win it last year, even though he came back from the dead. Now they've put specific wording in the voting procedures that you're supposed to look at guys who are injured and what they overcame. It's not just overcoming sucking like Joe Flacco. It's not just overcoming you being bad and then suddenly having a good year. James is trying to get me fired up. He says Sam Darnold's going to win comeback player of the year. Not if he only throws for 208 yards a game. He's not. Daza says, I would like to see the OL perform and the run defense hold up. Well, don't get greedy. You pick 2 things there, Daza. Pick one. I think the offensive line is going to be okay. I don't know it's going to be great, but the way Kyle designs plays and dials up plays, it's more about angles and things like that. And I think you'll see some of that. I think they'll be good enough. Again, I don't think this is going to be like the Packers NFC Championship game when you're running for 200 yards, but I think they'll be able to do enough in the ground game. Excuse me. I'm sorry. I don't know. I've been trying to hold that back for the whole show. I apologize. Nick Nice 21 says Bryant Young got it when he came back from breaking his leg in the same year. I don't know if that was the same year, but I know he did win it. He had a gross leg injury. Bryant Young did. Diego says it should be called the Damar Hamlin Comeback Player of the Year award by now. You would think, although I don't think they can name it after you if you've never actually won it. So we'll see about that. But yeah, I think the offensive line is going to be okay. Again, they're not going to dominate, but I think they'll be able to do enough. Plus, Kyle's going to have Brock on the bootlegs and the rollouts, and that he's going to do a couple of Debo reverses. because he wants to keep the other team honest. So if they start to get too aggressive, he'll make them pay in that way. So I think you'll see all of it. James says, all I want to see tonight is a damn pass rush. It'd be nice. And like I said, I think that's the most important thing to throw off Aaron Rodgers. I like to see Nick Bosa get back and being Nick Bosa, right? You know what I want to see? I want to see the Nick Bosa against the Browns on Monday Night Football. Remember that when he was just absolutely terrorizing Baker Mayfield and taunting him? Baker. That's the Nick Bosa I want to see. None of this like, 10.5 sacks. He had a good year. I want the 18 sack Nick Bosa, the defensive player of the year, Nick Bosa. Jets don't have an offensive lineman good enough to stop you. Shred this game plan, man. Just wreck it. That would be a nice thing to see. Absolutely, that would be a nice thing to see. Right, as Harris says, the flag plant Nick Bosa. Give me that guy. Supposedly he looks great. He looks, energized and all that. We'll see. He had the whole offseason, no disruptions, none of that. Everything was good for Nick Bosa. He's a captain. Give me the flag plant Bosa. Amen. You know what else I want to see? I want to see Jacob Cowing. I want to see Jacob Cowing get a deep shot. Even if you don't complete it, whatever. Just let it rip down the field and chuck it out there. Because I don't think that it's a bad thing to just plant that seed in the Jets' heads. Just a little bit. He's fast as hell. You have to respect his speed because he'll go past you. We know Brock's not afraid to let it rip. I like to see it early, too. Just so it's like, hey, you guys are going to load up to stop Christian McCaffrey. Well, okay, but we got this guy and he's going to run right past you. I'd like to see that, honestly. You don't have to do it all the time. I know the Jets have a good secondary. That's fine. You can still throw it. You can't be scared, right? You can't go into it like afraid to throw the ball just because the Jets have a good secondary. Like I said, even if you overthrow it, whatever. Just let him run. Maybe he can get behind people and just plant that little bit of hesitation in there. Because we know Kyle can do things. It's all the offense is designed to do, really. All the motions and all that stuff is just to create that little bit of doubt. And then you create that doubt and boom, Kyle can exploit it and we can rip off a chunk play. So, yeah, I don't think you can go into it scared. I think there's a difference between being scared of a team and respecting a team. You can respect your opponent and not be afraid of them. And that's really what you want to see. Respect is fine, right? Like, you don't want to just drop back 7-step drop every time under center, right? And force the offensive line to have to straight up pass protect for you. Like, that's not what you want to do. But you can still do some things. You can still throw the ball down the field. You can still make stuff happen. And I want to see Kyle do that. Respect, but also not fear. And we'll see. And of course, after the game, you can join us here tonight on the Instant Reaction Show, myself and Vish Kumaran. We will be here breaking it all down for you like we are after every single 49ers game. Enjoy it, everybody. I can't wait. I'll be tweeting. Follow me on all the socials at StatsOnFire. Hope you enjoy the game. Hope we're celebrating a win, but even if not, join us after the game. Talk to you soon.